Hey there, welcome. This is Bronx Brothers Motorcycles. If you're new here, I'm glad you're here. Think you'll like it. If you're a subscriber, I'm glad you're back. On this channel, we talk about motorcycles. Different brands, different kinds. Probably as you can see behind me here. We have a few different ones. Anyhow, on today's video, we're gonna talk about a motorcycle that you have not met yet if you're a subscriber to this channel. Now, I've had it for a few weeks, so today is the day that I'm going to introduce you to this motorcycle. So let's get with it. So it's old versus new, or is it new versus old? It's a 1955 R50. This is, as many of you know, I collect motorcycles, but this is in fact a collector's motorcycle. This is a motorcycle that collectors look for. A motorcycle that, when refurbished, when restored, can bring high dollars into possibly the mid 20,000s. So this motorcycle, fully restored, is worth somewhere in the vicinity between $20,000 and $27,000. I did not pay for that. Or rather, I did not pay that. As you all know, I am always looking for a deal. And this motorcycle, I happen to be looking through Facebook Marketplace, and it popped up as an auction house motorcycle. And I'd never really dealt with an auction house. I've dealt with eBay, which is very similar. So it's not something for you to be afraid of. You're not paying on the spot as you bid. Anyhow, and you can actually call, or you can go see the bike. This bike came up on Marketplace, and I started doing some investigating, and the price was very good for what I was getting. And you know, but I had to bid on it, so the starting bid was low. And at first I bid on the bike. It was an 8 o'clock bid, and I bid on it at 8, and I was actually in a meeting, and I had to ask them to please, if they could give me 5 minutes to take a break and go bid on this bike. And everybody was cool and interested, and they wanted to know more about it. When I explained it, I still had about half an hour, so I showed them pictures, and everybody was excited. I bid on the bike, and then I closed my phone, and we got down to business. And at the end of the meeting, it said I did not win the bid, but no one had met the reserve. So I came home, and having done the investigation that I had done already, I knew I could put just a little bit more on it, and I did. and I won it, like right there and then, with just a little bit more. So, you know, the thing with reserve is, you don't know. Let's say you're bidding on something that's, the reserve is $1,900 and you bid $1,700. You don't know that it just takes another 100 to make it. The good thing about the bid that I did was that the bid itself did it in increments. So if you put $500, it only added 100, but it was going to max out at 500. After 500, it was going to stop and tell you you need to add more money. So it would add 100, and then somebody else would add 100, and it would keep going until you get to that max. Well, that didn't happen. It stopped rather quickly. What can I tell you about the motorcycle? Motorcycle is a kickstart motorcycle. It is a classic BMW opposed twin engine, a boxer engine. The gentleman that I bought it from has had it since the 80s. He passed away, and that is why I was able to purchase it. It was an estate sale. There was actually 4 motorcycles. There was a Triumph, there was a few Honda Trails, I want to say there was a Moto Guzzi, but the lady said this was his favorite. This was his favorite motorcycle. This is the one he rode the most. This was his pride and joy. If you are not into BMWs, one thing I can tell you is Harley Davidsons, believe it or not, are very similar, because they are easy to work on. They have a separate transmission. They work with push rods, and it is somewhat of an easy engine to work on, just like a Harley. Some people call them tractor engines. Good torque, not a whole lot of high speed, but it gets the job done. Now what you're looking at here is, if you really think about it, is a World War II engineering. This is right after the war, and it was my understanding that the Americans allowed the Germans to sell their goods in the United States upon an agreement, because I think everybody knows the world had their thumb on Germany after World War II. They were limiting them as to what they could and couldn't do. They were keeping an eye on them, if you will. The bags that you see here, the saddle bags, are actually ammo cases. They're green inside. They smell musty and metally. They smell old. So these obviously are not original to the bike, but it's the ones he put on there. The bike is not in pristine condition. I can clean it up and shine it up some, but she's pretty raw as to what you're seeing. The tank is clean inside. Not sure if you can see that, but it's very clean in there. One of the first things I did when I purchased the bike, when I saw the bike, that was the first thing I did, was open the tank up, because if that is rotten, you have a lot of problems. If that's rusty, it seems as though this is, I want to say a clock. I'm not sure what that is, but as you can see, it's a Schwinn, and it's a modern device that he put on there for I don't know what purpose. I don't think it's a mile marker or anything like that. It could probably be a watch, or a clock rather. So I showed you the ammo cases. I do not have the key to this, but this is a little glove box. This is a storage compartment, and they did not have that key. And I asked, and he said, the guy that I was dealing with at the auction house said that he asked the wife, but he would call her again. And anyhow, that is a little glove box in there. You could put a pack of cigarettes maybe, and some gloves, or a pair of specs, you know, maybe clear glasses for riding at night. But it's not very big. What else can I tell you? This motorcycle does not have an oil filter. It has, I forgot what it's called. I'm new to this bike, so don't blame me. But it has something other that basically catches sludge and stuff like that inside the engine. So as the engine is pushed around, is my understanding, by the crank, it pushes oil into this catch, and oil goes in there, and it kind of like my hand, it holds any muck, and you have to change that out every, I believe, 50,000 miles. I have spoken with a few pros about this bike, and what they told me was that, because I don't know when that was last done, that I should get it done. This motorcycle is a shaft drive. Here is the kickstart. I'll kick it over. Is it in neutral? There it is. Yeah, there it goes. You can hear it. Let's kick it. You can hear it. You can hear the compression. These shocks, is my understanding, they are rebuildable, as are the front. Now, this motorcycle is made from factory to carry a sidecar. Let me show you the shaft drive first. It goes here. This is the shaft drive. Sidecar mounts here. Here, and there's another one. There's 3 sidecar mounts. Oh, here. 1, 2, 3. Now this here, and there's another one up here somewhere. Now this seat is in the way, which I removed it. It's just there. There's another. I forgot where the tab for that is. Anyhow, this seat is a Corbin seat, and it kind of comes down, because most factory seats, there's a gap here, but this is where an air pump, a hand air pump, goes from there to there. You kind of just put it in place. It's spring loaded. You put it in there and it stays in place. This is the air filter. So it depends if you have a sidecar or not, is how you set up the suspension. And here's what I learned. Now, I would believe that this is set up properly, but you can see, I think you can see this hole here underneath that. Let me go on the other side where we have better light. I think you can see it there. Yes, you could. Right there. There's a hole underneath that bolt, under that nut. And that, if you're doing a sidecar, you move the suspension down. Now, the same thing here. You can see this mount, and you can see that one. So if you're doing a sidecar, you move it forward. And that is made from factory for sidecar. It has drum brakes, which are not very good. Let me give you an indication of, you know, what the brake lever looks like when you squeeze it. So imagine that from all the way there, this is where it starts to stop, and now you have to, you know, driving that little red car is the same thing when it comes to brakes. Is you squeeze and you hope. Now this motorcycle did, because back in these years, some vehicles, motorcycles rather, had right side shift. This one does have the brake on the right side, but again, look at how far my foot has to go down. One of the coolest features of this bike is, I talked about the seat. This is a Corbin seat. Well, this Corbin seat I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of Corbin seats overall. These things are hard. They're not made for me. I think they're made for big people. They're definitely not made for a bony butt guy like myself. I have tailbone problems. Not that I think I'll ever ride this bike for more than, I don't know, even an hour. This is an around town bike. This is not, you know, a touring long distance. And I'm not getting any younger, because I would love to do a cannonball run type race. If I had the funds, the backing, you need a team to do stuff like that. And I would love to do it. But that seat, I would like to put the original back on, which I think gives it a better look, a nicer look in my opinion. I did take it off because I got to the battery, and this is a 6-volt system, so it can be converted easily, is what everybody tells me, and something I would probably do. But one of the features that I haven't talked about yet is, and it's not a feature, it's an item, is the key on this motorcycle. Other than that side key, which is a different key, that is a regular type of key that goes into that hole. But the key of this bike is in the most unusual place, in my opinion. And I looked for it for a while, and I actually found it by watching videos. I watched somebody start their bike up, and I was like, oh my goodness, look at where the key on that thing is. And I'm gonna show you where it is. So it's somewhere here. Okay, now this here is how you turn the lights on. Okay, this is your light switch. You turn it that way, you turn your lights on. Turn it that way, turn your lights off. But if you turn it that way, it's basically starting the bike. So this key comes out. This is the key. Is that the coolest thing you ever seen? That is the key. Without it, you're going nowhere. So what you do is you slide this piece back. You see? You slide this back, and it exposes the hole for the key. Let's see if I could do this with one hand. I think I could. The YouTubers challenges. There. And that is the key. That is beautiful. That is probably whoever designed that key to go like that. Well, I hope they got a medal. I'm sure they're not around anymore. You know, this headlight kind of reminds me of a Road King, of a Harley Davidson Road King nacelle. It is a thing of beauty. Pinstriping done by hand. The pads for your knees from factory. The shocks are adjustable on the fly. Well, not on the fly, but you could just pull over and adjust your shocks. This lever here, I'm not sure if the front ones have it, but I know the back ones do. And I think everybody knows that these motorcycles are really off-road capable in a sense. Not considered to a BMW GS, but people did go down gravel roads like nothing. Just like the Model Ts and all those other cars of the day. I mean, roads were not available everywhere, so there was a lot of dirt roads still. Okay, so now I see this. We're learning together. And it seems that that's probably the speedometer. He might have something on there that tells him the speed. It has to be. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's it. I think I've shown you everything I can about the bike for now. If you have any questions, feel free to write them in the comment section. Any comments? What do you think I should do with the bike? Should I restore it or leave it as is? What can a engine restoration cost on this bike? You know, as much as it looks like a whole lot of stuff, there's really not much to this engine. They're pretty simple to work on. Like I said, Harley Davidsons and BMWs have a lot in common in that area. It's my understanding that all the parts are available still for these bikes. And if you watch my last video where I went to the BMW MOA rally, the national rally, annual national rally, I talked with the vice president of the vintage BMW, the national vintage BMW, and he told me that online they have everything I need to restore this bike as far as literature. And that if I need any help, all I need to do is ask. They have a forum. And I don't know, is anybody watching this video a member of that forum? What do you think of my motorcycle? I have a lot of questions. And I wish you all can help me answer some. But also, I'd like to know, what is your curiosity about the bike? So feel free to write some comments. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed the video. You all take care. Watch out with the crazy people on the roads. And I will catch you on the next one. Adios.